talk my shit again? Can I talk my shit again? I can't believe I'm back up in this motherfucker. Hey, that was today's Patreon pre-show song. It was We Major by Kanye and Nas, and I'm not a Kanye fan anymore, but damn, that joint used to get me hyped. So shout out to the old Ye. I don't know who this new nigga is, but shout out to old Ye. Guys, welcome to Burn It Down with Kim Brown. This is the safe space where we set oppression ablaze because we understand that time is running short, okay? And the gasoline lines are long. But guess what? We got other flammable accelerants, plenty, enough to burn down all of these systems of oppression and rebuild anew because capitalism it's daring us. It's daring us at this point, is it not? I want to welcome everybody who is watching us right now live on YouTube. What's up, Fire Fam chat? Shout out to my mods out here, Courtney and Latif, doing the damn thing. Shout out to them and everybody that is supporting us and rocking with this platform in this channel. Really quick, guys, we have a really good show in store for you today. So I am probably certain, no matter where in the country you are, you likely heard about a fatal shooting this weekend in Washington, D.C. There was a lot of events happening in D.C., but this particular event in Washington is called MoeChella, right? Obviously a play off of Coachella, the famous music festival out there in California. And in D.C., one of Washingtonian slang is Mo. Everybody's called Mo, so hence the name MoeChella. MoeChella's been going on for a few years now, okay? And it has a very specific purpose, but most importantly, to spotlight the music of Washington, D.C., a Black Watch Chocolate City. I don't know what the fuck to call D.C. no more, y'all. Like, it was Chocolate City for a very long time, and now it is White Chocolate City. I don't know what the fuck. But anyway, go-go remains the genre of music birthed out of this district. By, of course, the one and only Chuck Brown, the godfather of go-go, and MoeChella is a celebration of that. But there was a terrible, terrible incident that happened, and the organizers are being blamed, it seems, by Mayor Muriel Bowser. The gag is, it was about 50 million cops out there when somebody started letting off, and a teenager tragically lost their life. So what the fuck is the purpose of the police? DC Police Command, like a $600 million budget. So it's all the cops out there and cannot catch nor prevent a shooting? Furthering the conversation of what is the purpose of police and actually defund and abolish the police. The other side, speaking of defund and abolish the fucking police, the news out of Uvalde continues to get worse. Courtney, thank you so much for the link you sent me. Infinite Content, you've been tagging me on stuff. I think Moses has been tagging me on stuff as well. There was some public hearings today and some private behind closed door hearings coming out of Uvalde. But the bottom line was the police were plenty armed. They had plenty of time to take down the Uvalde shooter, Salvador Ramos, who at 18 years old purchased an AR-15, two AR-15s, hundreds of rounds of ammunition, and subsequently murdered 21 people, 19 of them children, while police milled about out in the hallway, not making entry. Sad details coming out today that I definitely want us to get into, but I would like for us first and foremostly to actually start with some good news. Is there good news, Kim? Yes, there is good news. We have not checked in, at least here, not in the ways that we are accustomed to doing, but I haven't talked about labor in a couple weeks. There's been too much other fuckery going on. And we have been paying close attention to the unionization efforts of Starbucks workers, who I believe have now eclipsed 150 stores unionized. That's a big fucking deal, gang. That's a big fucking deal. That's 150 Starbucks stores unionized since the beginning of the year. So here we are, June, about 6 months in. They kicking some ass out in Starbucks, even though the CEO, Howard Schultz, says that he's not going to recognize the union. Nigga, we got something for you. That's coming later. And of course, the tremendous victory for Amazon workers up in Staten Island, getting that one warehouse, that first warehouse unionized. And now the sites are now turning to Apple. So between Amazon, Starbucks, and Apple, these motherfuckers make about $14 quadrillion a year. They make tons and tons of money, piles and piles of money. And yet somehow none of that money manages to trickle down. Y'all of a certain age can recall, remember trickle down economics? Scam, scam, big scam, trickle down economics. Okay, nigga, whatever. That shit ain't never trickled down and still ain't trickled down in 2022. This shit still ain't trickled down. It has not trickled down to the wages of the laborers, particularly those who work at the Amazon stores. And if you probably have heard all about this because you all are very smart and informed people, but y'all know I like to shine the spotlight on MD. Maryland is where I'm from, and when Maryland does cool shit, I like to shout out Maryland. And this is coming out of Towson, Maryland. Now, I know a lot of people not from Maryland do not know how to pronounce Towson. It's Towson, not Townsend, not, no. Towson, Towson Town Center, Towson University, used to be Towson State University, but I digress, I'm showing my age here. The Towson store, that Towson Apple store has had a historic victory. Let's cut to A1 Tunde and let's hear the. I'm trying to decide here. Now I've confused myself. I don't know whether or not should we watch their celebration or should we hear their story first. Actually, let's go ahead and hear their story. So, of course, one of our favorite labor media outlets is More Perfect Union. Of course, you know More Perfect Union was all over this, and I certainly encourage you to go to More Perfect Union's either Twitter page or their website to watch this video in its entirety. But they're going to be, what we're about to see is an interview, a sit down with some of the workers at the Apple store in Towson, Maryland. And yeah, absolutely. So just as a reference, guys. Okay, so who we're going to hear from is the organizers from the Apple store in Towson, Maryland, who worked for several months trying to organize their coworkers, convince them that the union is the proper way to go, especially when you're facing the pressures from a juggernaut such as Apple, right? Apple is a conglomerate. It is this multinational corporation worth trillions of dollars, and they wield a big stick, right? And Apple has also been trying to do their union busting efforts. And we're going to hear directly from the workers and let them tell you, number one, why they have decided to organize this union, and just listen to the duration of time that some of these young people have been working at this Apple store for. And it really breaks my heart for them because, like a lot of us, when we're young, y'all, we get sucked into that fucking lie. It's a scam at this point, and I think we need to be telling the kids it's a fucking scam. But all that work hard for this company and you will be rewarded. N-O. You work hard for that company during your 20s. All you doing is get your labor exploited. And we see that right now where these young folks are unable to repay their student loans, unable to purchase houses, unable to start families. And it's because the businesses, the corporations are holding on to all the money, hoarding all the money hoarding is the proper word. So anyway, let's check out this piece from More Perfect Union.
I have been with Apple Towson for 7 years, and at the end of May, yeah.
8 years and some change, so like 8.5 almost.
Over 10 years in, and it's like, whoa. I'm actually being honest with these feelings that have keep coming up over the years that I'm giving way more than is fair, really. April of 2018, we had this Batterygate incident. It was a very big deal, and the effect on the store was traumatic.
The tech giant admitted that it slows down older models.
Critics claim Apple did it to sell newer phones.
And this is pre-COVID, so we're talking sardines packed inside a tiny container of a store, and it boiling over. This anxiety of really just being yelled at constantly because of something I can't have any control over.
It's stressful, yeah. We are kind of the face of a giant company, especially over the course of the pandemic. People have become really reliant on their technology. And when they don't have, their thing that works, they get really emotional. And we tend to be the person who takes the brunt of that kind of frustration and anger and fear and it can be a lot.
You're acting as like a therapist to people. Like I've had people like cry on my shoulder. We've also had people threaten us like with violence multiple times. It's retail work, it's sales, yeah, it's technical, yeah, but it's also like there's just so much that you have to be able to be good at, to be able to know, to be able to anticipate.
We want to create an environment where the people who have a lot of really skilled labor are being compensated and being treated with that level of respect that they deserve.
How did you get involved in the union effort?
Billy, KG, and I had like just conversations, you know, about like what working looks like at other companies and then other countries as well.
The way that they teach you at Apple to like teach the job skills to one another is like how we did it with this information, right? We educated us first and then the right people in the right order.
Took it one person at a time and just talked to everybody at the store, and eventually we got enough people involved to make a difference.
Talking to like our coworkers about like what a union is, why do we need it? Like this is the way that we can make things better.
We make so much money, Apple, $3 trillion company.
It does seem kind of like preposterous to me that that our CEO can make as much money in 1 year as he does, and you still have people like struggling to find an apartment.
Does he do a lot of work? I'm sure. Is it worth $98 million when you have people at your store who are barely scraping by, who can't pay rent?
So let's be clear here. You guys heard them. Those workers understand. Those workers understand that Apple makes is worth $3 trillion. Makes is worth, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If 3 trillion is in the conversation, whether or not they made it or if that's how much the company is worth, it doesn't matter. $3 trillion is a whole lot of fucking money. More money than God, more money than God. And guess what? They could afford to pay every single Apple retail store worker, what do you guys think? A wage of $30, $40, $50 an hour. I think Apple could pay that, and truly, Tim Cook's not going to miss no meals. He's still going to be able to gas up the jet. He's still going to be able to do all the fly shit that the CEOs like to do out here. Let me tell you guys really quick about some of Apple's union busting efforts, as it was reported. Where am I from? Reported in TheVerge.com back in May of 2022, just last month. Apple has been accused by the Communications Workers of America, the labor union, that apparently is trying to organize retail workers in Apple stores in New York, specifically at the World Trade Center location and down in Atlanta. And the CWA filed 2 labor complaints against Apple, claiming that they violated organizing laws. What? No, not these big companies. Why would they try to union bust? Yes, apparently Apple's alleged to have interrogated workers about their organizing activities, trying to have these closed door meetings with workers who are even discussing the union with their co-workers, and basically trying to intimidate them. So shout out to the communications workers, the CWA, who has at least filed these complaints to get shit on the record about Apple's anti-union efforts and their attempts to bust the union. Oh, Noli D, thank you so much for your super chat, baby. Hold on, real quick. Oh, damn, Infinite Content, thank you. I totally missed yours. My bad, brusky. And shout out to Tay. Thank you, Tay, for your Cash App support, and thank you to Ursula. You guys, I feel bad sometimes that we do this late show because Ursula got to go to sleep. Ursula's asleep in the UK. Ursula got to go to work in the morning, but Ursula still took time to rant us some bucks, and I appreciate that, Ursula. Shout out to Patrick S as well, who also Cash Apped us some bucks as well. Thank you guys very much for your support. But speaking of support, we got to support these workers, especially these young people. Again, I feel as though, unionizing was, I can't say lost on Generation X, that it wasn't that we middle-aged people now did not want to participate in unions. It's that we were fucking discouraged, okay? Like some boomers discouraged the shit out of us. Like, oh, you don't want to talk about a union. You don't want to make no trouble. And my dumb ass listening to him like, yep, you right. I don't want to make no trouble. Like, I want to keep my job. Let me keep my low paying, badass job. You know, got to stay, all this stupid shit. But I'm so encouraged by the youth STEM because the youth STEM peep the scam. They understand that they are being scam. And listening to those young folks talk about how they've worked there 8 years, 10 years, still struggling to pay survival costs, to pay rent, to pay food. It is more, fuck that. It is past time that companies like Apple, Amazon, Google, Starbucks, it's time to start breaking the people off, man. And really, it's going to turn into a get down and lay down situation. Okay, if you don't raise these wages, guess what? Are you ready for a mass exodus of retail workers from your Apple store? Apple, I doubt it. Are you ready for that work strike? You ready for that walkout? That labor walkout? I don't think you're ready for that, Apple. I know you're not ready for it. We all know Amazon ain't ready for it. Shout out, thank you, Infinite Content. Infinite Content, was that you who ran me that story about Amazon specifically? How Amazon has done the calculations and has determined that they are going to exhaust their available labor force, their available labor pool by 2024. Why? Because Amazon's business model is hire them, burn them out, either fire them or make them quit, force them out, right? That's not sustainable for workers. Now, I know that's the Bezos model to totally, absolutely deplete your labor force and your workers, to demoralize them, to deny them even basic human dignities, like piss breaks, but the people are not going to stand for that. And I see this coming. I see this ball rolling down the hill and steadily gaining momentum, right? And I feel as though the younger generations, millennials and the Gen Zers, I not to say that I don't have confidence in Gen X. Gen X, we did what we could. We do, and we still got way more to do. By the way, Gen X, you better be raising your kids to middle finger to the law, nigga, fuck them all. I mean, maybe not that extreme, but you understand what I'm saying. I hope you are teaching your children to question authority and not just simply accept shit as it is because those in positions of power say that it is. Like, no, things can be different. Things can absolutely be different. But it just takes resistance, and it takes enough people to say no, and it takes enough people to say, it's actually more of us than it is of y'all. You guys might want to start making different decisions. You all want to start making different decisions, but I want to keep an eye, obviously, keep monitoring the unionization efforts of Apple workers, because these are big dominoes. Like, if you can unionize Apple workers, if you can unionize Amazon, Google, if you can continue down that path and making the Walmart workers, hello, can we unionize the Walmart workers? Can we get the Walmart workers a union? Like, this is the kind of things, and not to say that it makes the elites, or rather the corporate class, pay attention, because trust me, they are paying attention. That's why they are spending tens of millions of dollars on these union busting law firms to come in, intimidate workers, dissuade workers, try to do everything they can to discourage the formation of unions. But it's more important that we reach everyday people who may not have tied the system that we live under as capitalism, may not have tied that to their plight, right? Because so many of us were just programmed just to go to work, just get up and go to work. And a lot of people don't even question, am I getting paid a fair wage? Can the company pay me more? Should I be paid more? Do I deserve more? Because we are just conditioned to accept crumbs. We're so fortunate to get the opportunity. Oh my God, thank you for this opportunity. You know what? Some of them opportunities don't buy food. Some of them opportunities don't cover all of the rent or your half of the rent. So it's important, and I think what we're witnessing here is a shift in perspective and workers understanding that really the power lies with us, not with the companies, not with Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos would be worth fucking zero if every single one of his workers decided not to show up, not to drive the Amazon truck, not to throw the boxes in the Amazon warehouse. Jeff Bezos would be fucked if motherfuckers at Amazon decided to wage a work stoppage. And he knows it. And he knows it. Howard Schultz knows it from Starbucks. Tim Cook knows it at Apple. Elon, bitch ass Musk knows it over at Tesla. They all know it. So really, the question remains, do we know it? Do enough of us know that? And that's why, I don't know, should we start the general strike? Somebody's got, like, I think we just have to set a date. Can we just agree on a day? What is the day of the general strike? The day after Labor Day? Like, I feel as though we need to pick a day. That's really all it takes. And I think if you informed, rough estimate here, if you informed 5 to 10% of the labor force that, hey, we're having a general strike on this day, I think we could see something happen. I think we could totally see something happen. But who's going to be the person or the organization that has the credibility that people would be like, okay, so-and-so said this, I agree with so-and-so, I will participate in this action. I don't know. And this is where singular leadership somehow comes into problems, right? Because people don't like everybody, people don't trust everybody, But we got to get past that shit. Because guess what? The class elites are squadded the fuck up. Even though Elon and Jeff Bezos don't like each other, trust and believe they will unite their white powers against the working class, black, white, everybody, against the working class, period, point blank. So the sooner that the working class unites, the sooner that we can take some of these bitch niggas out and get our money and seize the means of productions and then reshape and reformulate the world that is not capitalist centered. Because, and I can't even talk about this on today's show, y'all, these reports coming out of the United Nations signaling the cataclysmic, what's the word? Cataclysmic, thank you, Tunde. I was just going to keep saying it wrong until somebody correct me. Cataclysmic environmental disasters that are just, I mean, we're actually kind of seeing them now. The wildfires where in California and New Mexico, I know we're experiencing that. Whereas there's severe flooding in Bangladesh, we're seeing heat waves in India. The Arctic and Antarctic ice shelves are melting and collapsing. Even to say these things aloud, like, gives me a sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach. Like I can feel the depression growing up. Like the ice shelves have collapsed. Here come depression, right? I can't even talk about that shit. But all these things are tied in together, because if we don't stop capitalism as a motherfucking movement, as a record label, if we don't shut capitalism the fuck down, Earth is gonna shut us the fuck down fast. Not slow, but it's gonna happen fast. And according to the United Nations climate experts who have been studying this, and I feel so bad for the climate scientists because they actually know what's happening, like intimately know it, whereas the rest of us sort of, peripherally know it, but they know, and the scientists are literally pulling their hair out, freaking the fuck out, like, how come nobody's listening? So let me see if I can get I want to find someone enthusiastic to go on and talk about the impending doom that we're facing from a climate disaster. But my point is that things are connected, right? If we're going to save the planet, then we have to save the workers, and we have to save ourselves. And the motherfuckers who are out here committing the most harm to not only workers, but the environment, they must be stopped. They're evil. They're evil. And I have to stop short of saying stop them by any means necessary, because that is truly how the fuck I feel. But we know them alphabet boys probably be hanging out in my chat. And shout out to the feds watching Burn It Down with Kim Brown. You got the best assignment ever, baby. Lucky you. Them other niggas got to watch Tariq Nasheed. Now, doesn't that suck? Wouldn't you rather watch me than fucking Umar? Be that as it may. Let me not take shots at them niggas, because I know them niggas got goons out here. Let's just move along to the next portion of the program. And I'm sorry. Wait, we didn't play the celebration. I'm sorry, Tunde. Run the celebration. This clip was posted by WBAL reporter Tommy Clark. And I wanted us to take a look at the exuberance on the face of the the Apple workers at the Towson store in Maryland. Let's take a look. I feel that. Did you feel that enthusiasm? Did you feel that? The next hump in this road for these newly unionized or soon to be unionized workers, and we're seeing this with Starbucks as well and Amazon as well, is that these motherfuckers, the companies are not likely going to recognize these unions, and then it's going to be a get down and lay down situation. It is going to quickly devolve into a get down or lay down situation if they fail to properly recognize the union and negotiate with the unions in good faith. We're going to see, and I think it's also going to be very important for us as supporters of working people who, we ourselves are working people. But when these groups start posting their strike funds, we have to support those. We have to support those because that's really the only language that these companies understand is withholding your labor. They get that. They understand that. If motherfuckers ain't making widgets for them every single day, they understand that. So, but they at the same time, they are very rich and they have deep pockets and they can play the long game. And we know that most working people live paycheck to paycheck and they cannot afford to play the long game. So with rent prices increasing, food prices, gas prices, when you see links for strike funds, try to support them, even if it's just for with a few dollars. Like literally, if you got $5, just run them some bucks or on some bucks. Shout out to all the labor people out here. Shout out to all the unions. Shout out to the Warrior Met coal mine workers down in Alabama who are still on their strike, which I believe is over 1 year in duration at this time. So anyway, we will continue to monitor the goings-ons of unionizing in the U.S. There is a resurgence here for unions in the U.S. I am encouraged to see it, and I hope that it is a sign of progress, and most importantly, a sign of resistance. Quick break here, gang. Do me a favor, if you have not already liked the video, could you like the video, please? We crossed 2,800 subscribers. So we still tiny, but we just a little bit less tiny. So we could turn up a little bit for that. You guys know, that I have low expectations, not low expectations, but shit, I get happy over small things, right? Like, oh my God, my mother's so funny. I'll tell y'all this real quick. My mom watches the show. She always says, I like the show. You just cuss too much. I said, okay, mommy, I'm grown anyway. But she'll see, the views from one of the videos. And she'll be like, oh my goodness, 400 people watched the video. And she's very excited that the video got 400 views. And I don't tell her that that's small potatoes in the YouTube landscape. I just let her be enthusiastic for me that 400 people watched the video. So like a video, goddammit, so my mother can think I'm out here doing something good in the world. And follow us places around the internet at BIDWKB on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, on Twitch. Hello, Northern Witch, holding us down on Twitch. And at Burn It Down KB on Twitter. And fuck it, that's enough. That's enough for right now. So let's move on to the unofficial Cops Ain't Shit portion of the program. And this is the latest that's happening out of Uvalde, Texas. It's hard to believe that has it been a month? It seems like it was yesterday that we were hearing the horrific news about the massacre at Robb Elementary where 19 elementary school students lost their lives along with along with 2 of their teachers, bringing the total number dead to 21. And I believe, even though that number, it's hard for me to get a firm number on exactly how many were injured, but one singular number that I saw once indicated that there were 37 people who were injured by gunfire with committed allegedly, he's dead. I guess I don't have to say allegedly, but fuck it. Salvador Ramos, an 18-year-old Uvalde resident who was able to purchase 2 AR-15s and a shit ton of ammo just days after his 18th birthday. And since day one of this horrific tragedy, the police have come out lying. Lying. And not just like lying their fucking ass off, apparently, about everything. And this report that we saw, actually, this is going to be from 2 clips, actually. So the first one is from KENS, Channel 5 out there in San Antonio. where they give a quick update about how, despite there being 1,000,001 cops on the scene with all kinds of guns, and the lies that we were told about the attempts or the wait to access the janitor's keys. They had to wait to find the janitor because for some reason the janitor wasn't around during the school day. Huh? What? Right. Sound like a lie off the top. If it doesn't make sense, then it's probably not true. It's told us repeatedly that no attempts could be made to enter the classrooms because the doors were locked. Well, it turns out that that was not true. And the lies that the Uvalde school police chief, Pete Arredondo, told numerous times that he, for one, this motherfucker said he didn't even know he was in charge. What? And then had the audacity to say, well, we waited over an hour while this massacre was happening to elementary age school children. We waited over an hour because we're waiting for proper tactical backup. We needed more firepower, is what one of the lies that were told. And as these public hearings, public and private hearings happen, which I think is strange, I'll come back to that in a second. But take a look at these short clips coming out of local TV outlets in the area. KENS 5 is out of San Antonio, and I think KVUE also out of San Antonio. So this is 4-ish minutes, y'all. But in case you have not heard the latest out of Uvalde, you should definitely take a listen to this. Let's check it out.
The San Antonio Express News is reporting that surveillance video from inside Robb Elementary shows police never tried to open either of the two doors that led to the classrooms where the shooter went inside. They were citing a law enforcement source close to the investigation. That source also told the Express News that police may have assumed that the doors were locked and the shooter could not have locked the doors from the inside.
What we know at this point is that within 19 minutes of officers arriving at that school, they had rifles as well as ballistic shields that, in the minds of some people who are reviewing the evidence in this case, would have given officials enough ability to take down that shooter. Keep in mind that almost an hour passed before they then went inside that classroom and found the bodies of those 19 children and 2 teachers, as well as taking down the gunman. Of course, this raises new questions about the police response, what they were armed with at the time, and why they did not act sooner. There is a lot of new information in this case, as well as a new timeline that investigators have put together. And Brian and Quita, much of this information is actually going to be presented tomorrow here in Austin at a Senate hearing that is hearing testimony from law enforcement as well as members of the public about what happened that terrible day.
And Tony, what we saw there was a screenshot of that video that's going to be presented. Is that correct?
Quinn and Brian, it's unclear the entirety of what all is going to be presented, but as you mentioned, I have seen some of the video evidence in this case, was able to watch some of this video information. And again, the video, the screen grab that we have does show some officers with rifles as well as a shield, a ballistic shield. Again, this screen grab was taken at 11:52 in the morning on May 24th. This screen grab, again, showing the officer, at least one officer, although there were several with assault rifles and other weapons as well. And then on the bottom of your screen, sort of to the right there, you can see one officer does have a ballistic shield. Again, this was about 19 minutes. Looking at the timeline, this was about 19 minutes from the time that the gunman entered the school at 11:33 in the morning. But again, Quita and Brian, about 58 minutes passed from the moment this screen grab was taken to the time that officials ultimately and law enforcement ultimately made entry into that classroom. There is other information that we are going to be hearing tomorrow as well, including a transcription of the Uvalde School District Police Chief, Pete Arredondo, whose name we've all become familiar with. We've been able to review a transcript of a call that he made to the Uvalde Police Department at 11:40 in the morning, essentially saying, send everything you can, send all the weapons you can, send all the personnel that you can. And according to this transcript of Pete Arredondo, from what is observed on body camera, and that is at different times, he was trying to make contact with a gunman on the other side of the wall of those classrooms, and did at one point discuss, this was about 20 minutes before they ultimately made entry, but he did toss out the idea of trying to take the gunman down through a window.
Pete Arredondo suggested trying to take the gunman down through a window 20 minutes before police actually breached the classroom. So that means the gunman had been in the classroom for well over an hour, simply slaughtering children with an AR-15. So that report was from yesterday, and you heard the reporter reference numerous times about the testimony tomorrow in front of the Senate. And let me read. We don't have this article up today because we don't. But this is from today. Really quick, we saw this guy, the director of the Texas Department of Public Safety, Steve McGraw. Remember Big Hat McGraw? Well, McGraw took his hat off. Went and testified in front of a Texas Senate committee and said, quote, he said, "I don't care if you have on flip-flops and Bermuda shorts, you go in," Steve McGraw, director of the Texas Department of Public Safety, said in a blistering testimony at a state Senate hearing that, like I said, that was today. McGraw also went on to say, quote, "I have great reasons to believe that means the classroom door, was never secured," McGraw said. About the classroom door, quote, "How about trying the door and seeing if it's locked?" And he also went on to say, McGraw lit into Pete Arredondo. I'm reading this from the Associated Press, by the way. McGraw lit into Pete Arredondo, the Uvalde School District Police Chief, who was in charge, saying, quote, "The only thing stopping a hallway of dedicated officers from entering room 111 and room 112 was the on-scene commander who decided to place lives of officers before the lives of children." And that is basically what this comes down to. The lives of officers were more valuable than the lives of children. And I know that people are really just discovering about the Castle Rock versus Gonzalez Supreme Court decision of 2005. A brilliant attorney who seems to be brilliant because they wrote a really cool thread about this case. And I'm going to sum it up very briefly because the attorney's name is Cheryl Ring. Her Twitter handle is at Ring, RING _ Cheryl, SHERYL. And she really goes into details about the Castle Rock versus Gonzalez Supreme Court decision, which basically said the police do not have any constitutional or lawful mandate that requires them to A, save you, or for them to B, put their lives on the line or in any danger to save the lives of those in the public. Really quickly, let me read from her thread. She talks about Jessica Gonzalez, who had an order of protection against her ex, a man with a history of violence against her and who had threatened to kill her and her 3 children. That order of protection, by the way, included the 3 children. The ex proceeds to kidnap the 3 kids from outside of Gonzalez's home, so she called the police, who literally told her to call back after 10 p.m. But wait, it gets worse. The police refused to do anything to help the kids, and even after the ex called to taunt her about having the kids illegally, and when Gonzalez called the police back again after 10 p.m., she was told again to call back later. Eventually, she physically went to the police station to file a report where the officers, number one, refused to take her report and instead went to dinner Some of the shit is so maddening. It's like, this can't be true, but I already know that it's definitely true. While she was there, the ex showed up to kill her along with the dead bodies of the 3 children that he had already murdered in his truck. Gonzalez sued the cops, arguing that the order of protection that she had obtained carried a statutory requirement that a violation resulted in automatic arrest, and she was absolutely right. But Colorado law required an arrest for a violation of a domestic violence restraining order. So because the man wasn't arrested, he did not technically violate the restraining order. And this was a Scalia majority. Scalia wrote the majority in the 7-2 majority SCOTUS opinion, saying that the plain language of the statute was irrelevant in light of, quote, long-standing police tradition. Whatever in the fuck does that mean? Then Sharon Ring, the brilliant attorney, goes on to say in her thread, then Scalia said that this was because if you could sue the cops for not following laws or legal duties, it would create a scheme where victims of crimes are paid money by the state, which he said was against the intent of the 14th Amendment. That's right. Antonin, quote, legislative intent and tradition are irrelevant. Antonin Scalia wrote that cops have no legal duty, no matter what the plain language of a statute is, because of legislative intent and tradition. But then again, it gets worse. In his concurrence, Judge Souter said that there was no substantive right not to be harmed by police because all police actions are only procedural in nature. In other words, he's saying that all police actions are like court rules and create no independent remedies. So basically, if you are ruled against in court, that's it. That's it. So if the cops, through their misconduct, gross or otherwise, and you are harmed in some way, hey, what are you gonna do? You can't. You have no recompense here. The police are without fault at all times and have no mandated duty to do anything that they present themselves to be doing. Oh, cops lay their lives on the line every day. Cops have the most dangerous job. Blah, blah, blah. Do they really? Because it does not appear as though they do. Because they can choose at any point in time to dismiss that danger, ignore that danger, not do anything about that danger. And I think this Castle Rock decision, Supreme Court decision, is where a lot of, I would imagine, potential civil lawsuits are going to hit a brick wall. Because as Louis Kang, I already saw Louis all on top of things in the chat. If you could pop up B2 for me, Tunde, how this piece from Vice.com indicates that the Uvalde, not only the police department, but the city of Uvalde has hired a private law firm because, they don't feel as though they owe anybody no motherfucking answers about shit, right? Shout out to the Texas Tribune. The Texas Tribune, if you're not already following them on social media, please do so. As media outlets go, especially publications and independent media publications, I really think that the Texas Tribune has a very high standard quality of work that they deliver, and they do really good jobs on deep investigative dives. I think they're actually in partnership or cooperation with ProPublica, which also does outstanding investigative journalism as well. But from this Vice article, the city of Uvalde and its police department are working with a private law firm to prevent the release of nearly any record related to the mass shooting at Robb Elementary School, which 19 children died. This quote, the city has not voluntarily released any information to any member of the public, said the city's lawyer, Cynthia Trevino, who works for the private law firm Denton, Navarro, Rocha, Bernal, and Zeck. This attorney wrote this letter to Texas Attorney General, is that Paxson? Yep, Kim Paxson. How's that going to work? Oh my God. The city wrote the letter asking for Paxson for a determination about what information it is required to release to the public, which is standard practice in Texas. It's standard practice for the city to consult with the Texas Attorney General about what information to release to the public. And some of the things that I know that specifically the Texas Tribune has requested, they have obviously requested all body cam footage, which, by the way, that still image released in that package that we saw from KVUE, grossly inefficient. That's not sufficient. That's not gonna cut it. A single screenshot is not gonna cut it here, guys. Not gonna cut it at all. And the reporter said that he had the opportunity to, quote, view some of that body cam footage. I wonder how much some is. I would imagine not very much. And the fact that the police only released a single screenshot is indicative of the level of the cover-up that we are witnessing here in Uvalde. And trust me, the cover-up is going to come from everywhere. It's going to come from Abbott. It's going to come from Paxson. You know, they got Big Hat McGraw out here from the Texas DPS. You know, he talking real big, but they need somebody to come out here and have some smoke for the Uvalde police, right? And I think that's probably going to be the extent of it. I saw a quote from Texas Governor Greg Abbott saying that he was misled. Well, sir, who misled you? Who was leading you astray? Who was telling you unfactual statements? And do these people still have their jobs? And if they do still have their jobs, why the fuck do they still have their jobs if they're misinforming the governor? But I can imagine why they have their jobs, because one, they're probably cops, and if they're not cops, they're probably white. Probably white. Happy Juneteenth. Anyway, I wonder how much money this private law firm is going to cost. And again, as much as my heart continues to ache and break for the parents of the slain children and for the families of those two teachers who were murdered, y'all got to go burn that bitch down, though. You got to go. The police department, it has to come down, y'all. Like, it has to come down. I can't be too explicit because we know we got some MAGA snitches will come through here every now and again and then go try to tell on me to YouTube, but you know what I'm saying. The building has got to go. It has got to fucking go. You can't keep playing in these people's faces in this devastating grief that they find themselves in. You don't want to release any information. Oh, I'm sorry. The other records that the Texas Tribune and ProPublica have requested, and all of their requests have been denied, all of their FOIA requests, Freedom of Information Act requests, include body cam, text, emails, radio communications, 911 calls. They want ballistics reports. They want autopsies. They want medical examiner reports, all relatively standard shit to be released in a public tragedy when public agencies and officers were involved. These people have the city of Uvalde and the Uvalde Police Department, they have no expectation of privacy in this matter. And the closed door sessions that were being held, I believe, in Uvalde, I saw tweets and videos from journalists who were down in Uvalde, obviously still covering this, who were precluded from entering the proceedings. And the sheriff or the law enforcement officer at the door said that members of the Uvalde City Council felt intimidated by the presence of the press. Isn't that something? Oh, and by the way, Uvalde School Police Chief Pete Arredondo, this past election, was recently elected to the Uvalde City Council. And I heard today that the Uvalde City Council has decided to give Pete a leave of absence, right? I can only imagine. I'm assuming these cops have got to be getting threatened. And I'm assuming that's just not being reported upon because police protect each other and media protects police also. So if it were to be reported that the Uvalde police and those related and those who are on the scene were receiving threats, my guess is they would probably receive more threats. And then the fucking auxiliary Klan units would come out, right? The junior offshoot clubs of the Ku Klux Klan, whatever they call themselves in 2022, they're going to start showing up to protect the cops. And then we're going to have some problems. But what's happening in Uvalde, you guys, this is worse than when Kennedy was murdered. And I mean, I'm being kind of facetious when I say that, but I said that to say what I'm saying is that was a well-documented thing that happened, right? When John F. Kennedy was assassinated. It was something that everybody saw who was alive at the time. You saw it happen. And it was still never clear as to who was responsible for what. And this is what I think the long game is for the city of Uvalde and their police department. They're trying to stonewall the release of information for as long as possible, muddy the waters with disseminating contradicting aspects of what transpired that day, and really hoping that as long as the media forgets about it, then everybody else will forget about it. You know, we can deal with these pissed off and grieving and devastated parents here in Uvalde. We can keep that contained, but we can't have all of America fucking mad at us, right? So it's important that we basically stay on their ass, and by they, I mean law enforcement and the media, to make sure that the media does what they're supposed to do, that they ask the right questions, that they don't simply accept what's being fed to them. So yeah, bad news. I would call that bad news coming out of Uvalde, but it is on brand for America for police to not do their job and then get mad that people want to point out that they did not do their job. Let me take a quick little pause here, guys. Do me a favor. If you have not already liked the video, give us a thumbs up. Thumbs up on, and if you're behind in your likes, I mean, I know, I know some of y'all are catching up. Shit, some of y'all are new here. I had a bruv who just left a comment under like one of my Tucker Carlson videos back when that shit happened. The bruv left a very, very favorable comment. Thank you so much for that. And said that he just discovered the channel because of Black Power Media. Shout out to Black Power Media. So welcome to the new folks. If you have not yet previously been here we are. And last but not least, the last story I wanted to get into, obviously, it has some local ties to me. I am a DMVer. I live in Ward 9, affectionately known as Ward 9. I live in Prince George's County, Maryland. There are 8 wards in Washington, D.C. And D.C., you guys know, is one of the most heavily, fastest gentrifying cities in America. And it has been like that for over a decade now. And Washingtonians, particularly Black Washingtonians, are making very deliberate and intentional efforts to maintain and hold on to Black Washington culture, to Black district culture. And one of the ways that they do that is through go-go music. And the first one of y'all to call it pots and pans, Courtney, you got to put them out. I'm sorry. If it's one of us making jokes, then don't put them out, but don't put them out. But some new nigga come in here talking shit about go-go music, they got to go. So, MoeChella, a play on Coachella, obviously, right? Because everybody in DC, you are Joe or Mo or Slim. Mo. Mo is pretty standard. So MoeChella, excellent name for a festival. I believe MoeChella is in its 4th year. This was the 4th year of MoeChella. And what it is a free show. It is a free music fest featuring go-go artists, go-go bands. And it's held in the U Street corridor, which is a historically Black area of the city, which very depressingly and sadly is becoming less and less Black. It makes me so goddamn sad to walk down fucking U Street. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Where did all these saltines come from? Why are they here? Who told them about U Street? Can they go back where they came from? It's so sad. But anyway, 14th and U, prime location. So, over the past few years that they have had MoeChella, they have closed down the streets in and around the 14th and U area and set up bands. And the police have always been out there. And this has always been an unpermitted event, meaning that the event organizers have intentionally not sought out permits as a protest against gentrification. Why in the fuck do residents of DC, Black residents of DC especially, got to seek a permit in order to express our culture, particularly on this weekend of Juneteenth? But tragically, a 15-year-old lost their life. But hold on. Let me take you through the video, because the melange of clips that we're about to see is going to start with a couple of videos of the scenes from MoeChella earlier, before the violence erupted. The first video shot by Red is Ari. Shout out to Afeni. And the second video is by Anscape, formerly known as The Undefeated. So those are the first 2 videos. The third video is going to be a news package about the shooting. And then you're going to see a bystander video. So I'm trying to take you in chronological order, basically how the day began, what happened, and then what the mayor and what the police chief had to say after the shooting occurred at MoeChella. So let's take a look.
Friday in DuPont, everybody was just doing a bunch of crazy stuff. And nobody cared. These police ain't care. But on Juneteenth, as you can see, since Mochella ended early, there they go, look. Now they shooting. Now they shooting, look. Right here, same cover. Same cover. Yeah. It's Juneteenth, y'all. Y'all black, y'all. You black, African American, whatever, yo. Y'all gotta do something different, yo. Y'all gotta do something different, yo. Like for real, yo. Soon as the police showed up, that's when shooting happened. And they gonna use this against y'all because y'all niggas is stupid, yo.
We have a child who was killed today at an event that did not have any proper planning for the number of people who were here and with guns involved and with our police managing a crowd on site, somebody used a gun and a child is dead.
And you heard the mayor say that this event was unpermitted, right? So it would lead you to believe that, you know, perhaps city officials didn't have awareness that this incident or this event was happening, which is demonstrably false. As I told you, that MoeChella is an event that they have annually. And to disprove, I suppose, what Mayor Bowser is saying, can you play C2? You're about to hear from DC's deputy mayor on Fox 5 DC. Good day, DC. Shout out to Jeanette Reyes. Hey, mommy. Talking to Jeanette Reyes's beautiful ass about this weekend's upcoming events. And notice what he mentions. Let's take a listen.
Been other big events that have followed. This is DC Deputy Mayor John Pelchicchio joining us this morning. So what else do we have going on in the city?
Yeah, so this weekend there's a lot going on. In addition to Something in the Water and the Nationals, there's also MoeChella is doing an event at 14th and U, which is free and open to the public.
Yes, so there's the DC Deputy Mayor promoting MoeChella. Let me tell you guys this real quick, and I have to be very brief here, but let me just say this. So first of all, my sincerest, deepest condolences going out to the family of that 15-year-old young man who lost his life. And the problem with gun violence in our community is that this is how our children are conditioned to resolve problems, to resolve disputes. And the accessibility of guns is a problem, but as we can see, specifically here in Washington, D.C., and by extension, Maryland, both places have extremely strict gun laws, some of the most restrictive gun laws in the state. And you see, it does not stop people from getting shot. It does not stop them from getting killed. And it certainly does not stop gun violence, even when police are literally feet away. And you guys saw how many police were on the scene, and you heard how close that gunfire was. And the shooter still remains at large. As of this airing right now, nobody has been arrested in connection with the murder of the 15-year-old, and the police was all in through there. And the DC primary, DC mayoral Democratic primary, is today. And Mayor Bowser is running very much on a platform, not only of pro-police, but more police. And she very proudly asserts that she is the only candidate in the mayoral race on the Democratic slate who is trying to push for more police funding, which she absolutely is doing, trying to have an excess of $600 million annual budget for metropolitan police. And you see there, the police were not able to prevent any crime, and they were not able to stop any crime or apprehend the criminal. So what is the purpose of spending hundreds of millions of dollars on police if they cannot do their stated duty? If, like in Uvalde, they refuse to do their stated duty, right? We have to start forcing our elected officials, our mayors, our city councils, like demanding, like you have to start stripping and chopping these police budgets, not just by 10 million here and there, half, bitch, half. Eddie Murphy Raw, half, half out this bitch. Half, even less than that, more than half, 3/4, 75%, 90%. But we're going to go in there and ask for big cuts because we cannot keep justifying spending this exorbitant amount of money while people remain unhoused and are getting evicted every day, while people and children remain food insecure, while we still do not have access to proper health care in this country, nor do we have a universal living wage. But the police get all the money. They will receive all the training. They will still continue to receive all the weapons and by and large, all the funding. And the only way that's going to change is if we say no. If we tell people like Muriel Bowser no, if we tell the DC City Council and related in your respective jurisdictions as well, that all this money spent on police has got to fucking stop because the crime is out of control, or what they deem as crime anyway. Anyway, guys, I'm going to take a pause. I'm going to time out. We're going to time out. We're going to resume this back here on Friday, 7 p.m. for Burn It Down with Kim Brown. Thank you all so much for all of your support. I can't do all the shout outs right now because we're running tight on time, but join me tomorrow morning, again, 8 a.m. Eastern on Black Power Media for the Remix Morning Show. Guys, please don't forget that COVID is very much out here jumping on people. Do what you can. Wear your mask indoor, wash your hands, social distance. Please keep yourself safe. On behalf of Tunde and Molly, we will see you guys back here on Friday. Thank you guys. Love y'all. Toodles. Bye.